Today's video is about asking versus demanding things from the universe and all the different things that come up with that. I was thinking about this a lot the last 6 months, and in terms of casting spells and magic and, you know, what is respectful, not respectful, what is the best way to go about it, etc. and so forth. And so I don't know, it's kind of a babbly video about my thoughts and how I've been mulling through ways of operating within witchcraft and my spirituality. So, I don't know about y'all, but for me, demanding things in general feels very, very aggressive. I have a very, very hard time wrapping my head around the idea that to demand anything, including things like respect, boundaries, even, you know, basic things you need just to, like, you know, live a good life. Seeing that in any sort of positive light, it's not my natural instinct. A lot of times when I demand something, even though I know I need to and I like push myself to do it, there's definitely an ick feeling that pops up whenever I have to demand something with any sort of, I wouldn't even say terse tone or even a very aggressive tone, like even just a very mellow tone stating like, this is what I need. It is a demand because it is, you know, it's not a request, it's a statement in itself. And especially in my day-to-day life, whether it's like just dealing with co-workers, you know, needing to establish true boundaries with family, romantic relationships, like whatever it is, like demand, the word demand has some icky context to me for some reason. But in a lot of ways, it's interesting where my positive associations when I think of demands in forms of others, right? I think of like in mythology and with goddesses specifically, or gods in general, any sort of divine entity, they make demands all the time. They're very demanding. There is, you know, queens, kings, people of sovereign energies come in and are very like, nah, this is my base level. I don't care if you think it's all the way frickin' up here. These are my demands, meet them. Or not even like, I'm going to remove myself because I think very highly of myself. No, they're like, there will be severe consequences if you don't meet my demands. Like, this is almost a blackmail-like situation. Like, meet the thing or we're gonna curse you, cause you some issues, fuck up your life somehow. And it's funny how, to me, when I look at it from the mythology, I don't get that ick viewpoint. Regardless of what a god is doing, even whether or not I agree with the demand in the context of the story, don't have that ick, and instead I view them with a lot of respect. There is this stern definitive, regardless of how over the top it is. You know, I think of the goddess Hera and how, you know, she gets very revengeful and possessive, and a lot of times takes her anger out on, you know, not her husband, but the other people in general, and those demands in her, you know, constant pushing of the things can seem in some ways unreasonable, but I always respect her in a lot of ways. Like, I'm really having a hard time thinking of a single time, even if I don't agree with the myth in general, where I still do not respect the god for, in some way at least, standing up and saying like, listen, I'm gonna say what I fucking want. This is it. Period. End of story. And I think there is a little sense of like, when it comes from us and ourselves, or even other people, demands seem very entitled, don't they? And when we're doing our magic though, are we not, in some respects, demanding things from our guides, our gods, the universe at large, the world, like however you view it? Doing a spell, casting our intentions out there, it is a sense of a demand. But when I think of it in other ways, I almost feel like I'm not demanding so many times, but I'm asking. I'm asking the universe for a blessing, for a certain way forward, for a easier time of it, to remove an obstacle. I'm asking for assistance from energies at large to come in and hopefully just work, whether it's just to put the person who's looking at my resume in a good mood, or for hopefully more certain romantic partners that I'm attracted to also be brought into my life, or the ones that would also be attracted to me, you know. I feel like I am. It is an ask, not a demand. And I wonder if that is more of an issue than I realize. Because I think a lot of times when people talk about manifesting spells, even in the very mundane context, the idea of, you know, being assertive in any way, shape, or form is seen as confidence. And the minute you can like lead with confidence, even if you're not feeling it internally, but if you can lead with confidence, and if you can show up and just very firmly state what your demands are, there's constant articles that show all about how you end up getting it a lot more. When you ask with a lot more, I guess, showing in your tone or your reverence that someone else can truly refuse you, they seem more likely to do so. Like, it's like you've put the thought into their brain that this is not a thing that is guaranteed, that they very much can say no to you and almost have no consequences of any kind. You know, it is simply a request. And well, I definitely think asking has of course, there's so many ways where you need to ask. You cannot demand everything of people all the time. No, we request. It is a very healthy thing to remember. We are not entitled to many different things, right? But I do think sometimes this is not a question of being entitled and asking versus demanding, especially when it comes to our magic. Sometimes I think it's a lack of self-awareness. Because how many times do we think we are being demanding, terse, aggressive, when someone else looks at you and goes, there is nothing aggressive or wrong or demanding of your tone at all. That is just you stating your worth. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to come in fully and say, this is what I am worth and what I am owed. There are baselines and boundaries that we put up and stipulations in all of our interactions that we do, and sometimes stating any of those as a firm thing feels like we are making demands in a negative way. But again, kind of going back to that goddess thing, that god and goddess, that divinity thing. They make demands all the time. Sometimes they're even unreasonable. But really, it's so weird to just be like, nah, I'm a badass. This is my level. Meet it or don't. That's my demand. And when you show up like that, knowing your worth and asking for things, even if you feel they are unreasonable or out of your reach, is that just you not being self-aware of how much you are actually worth? And if you believe that you aren't worth all that much, does then the universe echo back in a way? And there's definitely some problematic elements to that, right? The whole concept of, well, you didn't get what you wanted with your manifestation or your spell because you didn't believe yourself worthy enough, or, you know, there is something inherently wrong with you. You didn't do enough. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think there's a lot more chaotic elements happening, right? Like, it's not that you didn't like do enough of the spell worked and that's why you didn't get the job. Like, a lot of times it could be just the fact that like you put your energy out casting to the job with your resume and all that stuff. You lit the candle, you did whatever you needed to, but then someone else comes in with like more energy too, and then it's up to the person to say, well, whose energy do I align best with? Who is best fit for this position? You know, it's not necessarily anything you did wrong per se. It's just there was a better match, a better fit, a better energetic marker that linked these things up. But I do have a interest in the idea, especially of demanding things from the universe. Because let me tell you, near the end of last year, I got a little pissy. I was angry. I was feeling those shifts. I was, you know, frustrated with the world at large at so many things. And knowing, again, like I said before, it's like I was tired, and knowing that I was going to have to plant a whole bunch of more seeds energetically in my life to hopefully bring about good things. And I was really tired and just didn't freaking want to do it, but I was going to go and I was going to do it, and I did it from a more angry, spiteful place, let's say. When I was writing out some of my intentions and scriptings for how I wish my life would go, you know, hoping to cast a little bit of a vision out into the universe. I did not come in with a, God, it would be so nice if this happened, or even like, oh, you know, a very soft place, an asking place. It wasn't from a place of, oh, I already have this. And it wasn't from a place of, oh, it would be so nice. It was a place of, you better fucking give this shit to me. I'm done. I'm tired. I've had it. I am out. I need my shit now. It was a lot of like when I know, when I have to like show up and say, pay me what I'm worth. I bring a lot of that energy into my workplace. I don't know what it is. I can feel very like, no, I need this stuff to do my job. I need this to do it this way. I do it in a very professional manner, of course. Don't get too aggressive or whatever. But I've got no problem going in and saying like, hey, this is what I've done. I've always met these deadlines. You've rewarded me here, here, and here, but this is deserving of this amount of money, which I have not yet received. Why? Give me, please. And in that way, I kind of did it to the entire universe. And from my previous videos recently, I think many of you will know that some of that did not work out. I think in some respects, the universe might have been like, look at this angry little thing yelling at me. Oh, that's cute. Look at her. But in other respects, I think in some ways, my anger, my last straw feeling of being like, nah, man, you owe me. Been through enough this year. Like, I need a win. Big win. I want good stuff now. I'm tired of the bullshit. I've learned enough lessons. You gotta give me something here now. And it did. I feel like in some respects there was, in a way, it was almost a reclaiming of power, a reclaiming of respect. And I wondered if, because even though at the time it did feel a little angry, a little bit spiteful, a little bit aggressive, I wonder if it was less that and more just me kind of like claiming baseline boundaries and respects, even from something as large and crazy as the universe. I talk about this a lot on my channel in mentionings that if I have very big doubts and I am very much of the, I don't entirely know what I believe about the beyond and how things work. I'm just kind of fiddling and playing and seeing what sticks at the wall. But I do have the concept of if there are divines or otherworldly beings or some omnipotent creature that can look at us all, I don't think it is this level of like, we need to worship you and we are your little minions and like, you know, again, a place of like, not even asking, but begging for every little scrap type of deal, right? If anything, I think if that is how our world operates in our universe and energetic things at large, I feel like the higher conscious entities, beings, what energies, whatever, if that is a thing, then they are doing it out of a sense of teaching and of wanting us to come up to their level. And at some point, some people always, I think, want to think of like when you're teaching a kid or like, you know, there is a level of, no, you give the people who know more than you respect. You know, you don't want a toddler throwing a tantrum. You don't want a middle schooler pretending they know everything about life at 13. You might know quite a few things, you know, you don't got no knowledge, you got quite a bit actually, but like, there are other elements here, there's still a lot more to learn, right? But I do, in some ways it almost goes back to that concept of like respecting your elders. I respect you as long as you respect me. And in some ways, I feel very disrespected by the universe. I feel very disrespected at large by all the shit that had to happen in 2020. I feel very disrespected by all the chaos that I had to handle and do, and, you know, in the constant upheavals, regardless of its lessons. It felt a lot of, like I said, being kicked in the teeth, and being kicked in the teeth is not respectful in any shape or form. And I think there is something healthy about being a little angry about that, about being angry about the struggles you have to go through, and then realizing in your life that, no, I can demand more from things in general. And isn't that what my craft is doing? It's not asking and begging some energetic field or whatever. It's putting my intention out there, calling it to me and saying, this is mine. I'm pulling this to me. I am calling this with all force and will, saying, this is where I'm at. get on my level, you know what I mean? And I think there is definitely some power in that. Not to say there's not, again, like I've said, there's definitely some power in asking and understanding we are not entitled to everything, but I think there is also power in remembering that we are entitled to some things. We are definitely allowed to demand respect and boundaries and basic decency in our lives. There's nothing wrong with having that demand. And sometimes if you feel you are demanding so much, maybe you're not demanding too much. Maybe you aren't acting overly entitled in so many ways. Maybe if you were looking at yourself from the outside in, someone might be going, oh, thank goodness she's finally standing up for herself. Thank goodness this person is finally, you know, getting up there and saying, no, I deserve better than this. You don't get to treat me this way. Whether it be a rude coworker, a pushy partner, or the universe itself, deities at large. We all deserve respect, regardless of where we are energetically. Anyway, those are just kind of my thoughts about it. And I am taking a little more, I guess, domineering, divine stance in some of my spells as I cast them out. It is very much of a, nah, you owe me. This is, service is rendered, pay me please. Where's my blessing? That's kind of how I'm taking it. What do you guys feel about the differences between when you cast a spell? Are you asking for blessings from the universe or divines and stuff? Or are you demanding? Do you have an inherent negative feeling about the word demand? Do you feel that it is somewhat selfish or entitled to use the word demand in any way, shape, or form? Or do you feel that no, you do get to demand some things? There's a balance. You know, some things we definitely need to ask for, we are not entitled to. Other things, demands are good. Or do you feel, especially when you're casting things out, it should always be more of an ask? You know, you get more flies with honey versus vinegar type of concept, you know? Ask nicely, maybe you get more of what you want. All of that in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts about it, and next video hopefully will be sometime soon, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.